podcast focused on trends shaping the future of manufacturing. I'm Alexandria Bjork, your host, here with A.W. Schultz, two thought leaders with a passion for people and manufacturing. Today and every episode, we are diving deep into the advancements, sustainable practices, and dynamic changes transforming how we produce everything.
And now welcome Alexandria Bjork and A.W. Schultz.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Back to the Future. I'm here today with A.W. Schultz. I'm Alexandria Bjork, and we are going to be talking about humanoid robots. We're going to talk about how this is going to impact the job market, job creation, and the very scary speculative job loss. We're going to talk about the different humanoid robots coming up on the market and how we think those competitions and races will play out and what the impact will be not only on consumers in their homes, but also, of course, on the factory floor. So, AW, we talked a lot about Tesla lately. There's obviously Optimus, there's Neo, like we talked about, and then there's kind of a couple of others that are, on the horizon or in this race, in this humanoid robot revolution race. So, when you think about it from not only the consumer perspective, but also from the manufacturing perspective, what are some of the things that you're excited about with these humanoid robots?
I guess the one thing that's kind of resonating with me is that I tend to believe when Elon's excited about something coming out, that it's going to happen. And it usually does. So, I mean, we've been talking about flying cars for a while, the robots, for a while. But, you had shared with me on Optimus Gen 2 and Gen 3, the humanoid robot and its place within the household family. And I go back to that movie by Will Smith called iBot, richest man in the world, it's iBots, and they go south. But however that be true or not, it's starting to become a reality, and it's to me, I'm kind of excited about it. Where I see it is certainly, I didn't necessarily see the cost on there, what they're going for, but I do know that. Did you hear something about it?
Yeah, so there's different cost. Usually, right now, most humanoid robots, especially for the developed for the consumer side, so doing things like household chores, and all of that, are ranging anywhere, I think, as low as $6,000, $5,000 or $6,000, and up to about $30,000, and that's quite a range, right? But the real kind of I would say bummer for me is that Optimus, which is the Elon Musk's humanoid robot, was supposed to be around $20,000 to $30,000, but they're projecting that Optimus 3 will end up being like $200,000 to $500,000 initially, and it's not until they can get to, I believe it was 1 million units produced, that they could start to really drive that cost down. I'm confident that in the next 5 years that Optimus, whatever number they're on at that point, will be in the probably $20,000 to $50,000 price range. And if you think about what people are paying for, a cleaner, a dog walker, and any kind of meal prep service. If you bundle those things up, one of my favorite entrepreneurs, Alex Hermosi, talks about you could outsource most of that stuff for about $1,500 a month using people, right? So if you take that same math and you're like, all right, I'm going to spend $1,500 a month on laundry service, meal prep, dog walking, and cleaning, if I didn't say that twice. So you're spending all this money on those things, $1,500 a month, right? If you take that, your humanoid robot will pay for itself in, call it a year and a half to 2 years. So after that, it's a pretty much, free luxury service, and frees people up to do other either leisurely things or, business pursuits, whatever that may be. I think where Optimus and will probably take the lead is, number one, it's already demonstrated it can cook. So think about how many dual working households are struggling to cook meals for their kids and their families. If you could outsource that to a humanoid robot who can also clean your house and do all these other things for you, that's a win. I think there's a world in which the humanoid robot, and I would trust probably Elon's versus any of the others to execute on this. But I think there's also a world in which this humanoid robot is not only your chef, your cleaner, and whatever else, but it's also your virtual assistant. So I think because of the integration with AI and the operating capability there's a possibility in which we're now having an all-in-one cleaner, chef, and virtual assistant in this humanoid robot, and then that drives the cost. If it gets to the $20,000 to $40,000 price range, that could really make that a no-brainer for most people, even just middle-class people, not the top 10 or 1 or 5% of earners in the US and otherwise across the board. So I'm excited about that. But what I think is also positions Optimus to really take hold in the marketplace is that Optimus is designed not only for in-home application, but also for factory floor application, where a lot of the robot manufacturers are kind of falling into an either or camp. I think it's really brilliant of Elon and the organization to kind of have this dual application, because that opens up the market share, right? So not only are you producing a consumer good, but you're also producing something that can generate revenue through more of an industrial and manufacturing avenue. So right now, Optimus is working in the Tesla factories doing particular jobs. And one of the things that their robot is particularly advanced at is the hand. Elon's really obsessed with the hand, and it's demonstrated that the robot can hold an egg without breaking it and do all these like fine motor skills, which is really what I think is going to be kind of allowing them to take front runner in this race as the next 2-3 years unfold. I share the same excitement. The one thing that I thought was weird about Neo, which I really thought about that for 5 to 10 minutes, and I was like, I'm an early adopter of technology in general, but the way Neo operates currently is like you'll book a time with basically a robot operator, and that robot operator remotely logs into the robot. They said they have all these different safeguards, safety mechanisms, and all these different things, but there's actually a person virtually operating the robot remotely to accomplish these tasks. So that to me is a little creepy. I'm not necessarily for that. Like, I wouldn't mind if the robot was recording video to be better at executing on tasks. But I don't like the idea of somebody virtually walking around my house necessarily. I think that's a little weird. And I think that's another reason that Optimus is much better positioned than some of the other robots. And I think that's another reason, but it is another example of job creation, right? So a year ago, if you were told there's a possibility you could be at a remote location, virtually logging into a robot to operate it, everyone would have said that's crazy, but those are now jobs that are available to the people.
What I see this, and I go back to, Michael Dell when he started making his computers, and he just, he said, you kind of get the software down, and the hardware. I mean, the hardware always comes down in cost. So if you're talking a $200,000 piece of equipment, I can easily see it coming down. And if we've seen anything with Elon, he's not something that he's trying to build a luxury item. He wants a household item that people can all be part of. And that's what I see is really going to be the disruptor between other companies like Boston Dynamics, who they created a humanoid robot and also the dog robot that is pretty popular within the reliability sector. But it's to your other point on the having a pilot for these robots. This just came out in May, and it's from the ISO. They have published a workplace publications of it's called the ISO 25785-1, which is the standardization for humanoid safety in workplaces. So if you're wondering if they were serious or not, how far we were probably advancing, we're already coming with procedures and policies that put safeguards into those types of industries on it. What I see interesting is not so much I'm thinking to myself is, you go back to the factory of the future. When you have humanoid robots, you necessarily don't have to have the newest, greatest piece of equipment. You can have that somewhat semi-reliable, it's meeting its ROIs, and you can apply a humanoid robot to take over some of the functions that prior to that could have been done by a person. And now it can be done in a safer environment you've got the pilots in the back room just checking up on things and maybe operating multiple different pieces of equipment. But we're just kind of on the brink or the top of the wavelength on the different applications that we're just thinking of.
Yep.
Certainly for me, I mean, I've got a couple of robots in my house that do the vacuuming, which we absolutely love.
Yeah.
And they're just, I mean, I've got an older model, and I've got two older models actually, but they still function to what they say they are. But I haven't seen it. We debated going out there and getting something new, which we need to. But I mean, what does it say if you got a humanoid robot? Do you need a dishwasher? Do you need a dishwasher anymore? Do you need a washing machine anymore?
It's a very
Just have
good
the robot
question.
do it.
Well, you do need a washing machine. I've seen the robots doing the washing. You know what I find interesting about the consumer input or like opinions about things? For some reason, one of the things I've been seeing a lot on the comments when I look at these humanoid robot videos is the time it takes. And from my standpoint, and like in my opinion, I don't care if it takes 2 hours for that humanoid robot to do the dishes because I'm not doing it. I don't care if it takes the humanoid robot 3 hours to fold my laundry. Of course, I would like that to be done faster eventually, but what does it matter to me? I'm out doing whatever I'm doing. I'm working, I'm podcasting, I'm walking my dogs or whatever it is, out to dinner with my friends. I don't care if it takes them 3 hours, as long as it gets done and I don't have to do it. I'm happy with that. Although I will say, I look forward to the day that I get my first humanoid robot, because I will definitely be subscribing to that whenever the right time comes. But when I got my vacuum the first time, my robot vacuum, I was like micromanaging it, like following it around the house. And since then I've learned to like trust it. So I feel like there's definitely going to be that
You
level.
didn't trust it.
Well, I did trust it, but I just was like, I want to see what this thing does, so I'm like following it around the house, seeing how it does. But since then I obviously have better things to do than follow a robot vacuum around the house to see how it manages things. And same with my cat's litter box. I love my robot cat litter box. I'm fully subscribed to that as well. And hopefully one day in the future, I'll have a humanoid robot emptying the container and restarting the vacuum for me. But I also kind of find it interesting. I think that there's a possibility that so to your point of like, why do I need a dishwasher or whatever? I think there's a future sector where you buy, so say you go with Optimus, right? But then you get an Optimus vacuum. So maybe Optimus like somehow is like automatically more connected. So it's kind of like an Apple suite. Like if you have the watch, the phone, the AirPods, the MacBook, everything seamlessly connects. And I see that as a possibility for like these like home appliances, like for example, a vacuum or a like, like the wet mops, like, Dyson has a mop or whatever. I think there's a possibility in the near future, like next 10 years, where Tesla starts designing, vacuums and all these different other attachments that like just plug into the robot. So that way it makes it even easier. It makes the robot then that much more effective. But like then people are going to get really into their different camps on things, right? Like you could have a duster that is, instead of having the robot have to learn how to use the variety of dusters, you just get the duster that goes with your robot, or the vacuum attachment that goes with your robot, or the leaf blower that goes with your robot, the lawnmower that goes with your robot. And so then you just have this suite of integrated technologies that your home operates on. And I think that's kind of cool.
Where do you think it's going to go? Do you think it's going to be more the attraction is going to be in the household or in the factory to lead the way?
I fully believe in both. I don't see a way in which the future unfolds where robots aren't operating a majority of the factories. Because one, we already have a workforce shortage. Number two, some of the jobs are dangerous and people are less interested in doing them. That's one of the things that I've experienced in my career in manufacturing, is that frankly, people are less interested in working these factory floor jobs. And just like we talked about with Rosemary and some of the other folks we've had on the podcast, manufacturing is just going to be advanced in the US. Whatever manufacturing comes back to the US or begins from here on out, it is going to be much more advanced. And so I see the jobs that people are going to have in manufacturing are going to be maybe perhaps a robot operator, where they may work remotely or from some headquarters, where they're operating the same robot in multiple factories. So it'd be one human to maybe 3 to 5 robots where they're doing the same thing. It could be jobs where obviously those robots, just like we have to maintain assembly lines now, and all the automated sensors need to be replaced, and all of the troubleshooting that goes on with that, and just also fine tuning and advanced updates, right? So I think robots are going to be a part of that ecosystem. So I think there's going to be possibly like coding jobs that are going to open up. From a physical standpoint, I think that there's going to be a lot of infrastructure that we need to put into place very quickly with AI data centers, robot, energy needs, all these different things. And it may be, manufacturing solar panels and those things. I think that because even with the added robots in the factory, there's still going to be more human jobs that are needed because of all of the support that robots require. So that's my take on that.
I think what we should do is like put a bookmark into this episode here and come back to it in like a year and see what our thoughts were, and what is happening now that we didn't foresee, and where it's going, because it's happening fast. It's happening
it
really
is
fast. And it's exciting. I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I particularly believe that we're not able to really comprehend. I mean, at least me, I'll speak for myself. I'm not able to comprehend how fast this is going to go. I think we're used to kind of analog speeds. Like, imagine when we were having dial-up, if somebody was like, oh yeah, you'll be upset if you have to wait 2 seconds for a page to load. What? I think that's kind of the pace at which we're moving. And I think it would be ignorant to think that the speed at which this is going to transform is only going to exponentially increase month over month over month because of the possibilities and the capabilities. So I think it's really hard for people to predict how that's going to go. I think the home thing there, I think honestly, factory robots will take off faster than home robots. I think there's going to be a population of people, I'm going to call it the 25% population of consumers that are going to be like, sign me up, yes. But like, I would be interested to know how many people even just have simply a robot cat litter box, or simply have a robot vacuum. There's probably majority of people, I would guess more than 2/3, that are still manually vacuuming their house. I wonder if we could find that stat. I'm gonna look that up while you comment on that, because I'm just overly curious.
Well, I would look at just what is some of the, Ramba's sales and the different sales, and just assume that that counts as a household, and then just find out how many households there are probably in the U.S. if you want to just snapshot it, because we're just probably talking the U.S. because other countries, they've got labor that's a lot more affordable than what we have. The so what I'm if you're just listening to us, you're probably not going to see this, but if you're watching the video, what we're going to have is some different examples of the different robots that we're discussing here, and particularly the Optimus Gen 2 and 3 on its capabilities and the excitement that's on there. It's funny. I was at a conference recently, and they were going over robots. They weren't humanoid, but it was you've probably been to a restaurant where the robot comes out with your food on it, and you take it off and put it on there.
No, I've not.
But they haven't. I've been at a couple, and I can't say it's caught on all that much,
I think that's weird.
Following it doesn't have there's something about the feel for it, and it doesn't work. Something's not working at it. But there was several of them at this place, this conference I was at yesterday, and it was surprising. Like 2 or 3 of them weren't even working. They were down, and I was like, "That's not a good look." Just
not a good look,
because that's what I see is happening. And when you share this, like, well, Elon Musk is coming out, like, well, it's going to work. Then it's going to work. They're not going to just throw out crap that we're just going to have to deal with. The shut her down, bring her back up. Can't find the Bluetooth. Can't find the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the problems are going to be, but it's just they're out there.
Yeah, I honestly think that that's going to be a real divergence as well. I think that in the case of servers and bartenders and all that stuff, I think it's a very long way away. I think early generations, like generations of children that will be born near future, who grow up with humanoid robots in the house, that generation would probably be fine and or prefer humanoid robots to be serving them. But I think our generations and up would really find that sterile and would not enjoy that experience. So I think that sector would be probably last to be outsourced to humanoid robots is my guess. Now, to say that there wouldn't be humanoid robots in the back prepping the food and doing the dishes, I think that's a lot sooner. But I think the serving and the hosting and all of that stuff will remain human solely for at least several years, if not another 2 to 5 decades, in my estimation. By the way,
I'm going to say that just because you're going to talk about the different generations, the X's and the Z's, they're going to be acceptable for it. And my mom was a baby boomer. She did not like my robot at all. She said it was too loud. Sounds the same as the other vacuums, but I just want to.
I think regular vacuums are way louder than robot vacuums, but that's just my opinion. So here's the stats on robotics in households. So currently in North America, we're leading the charge. Woohoo! 15 to 20% of households estimated to have smart home adoption. Of that, 14% of homes in U.S. have robotic vacuums. So really not as much as we would expect. So I'm interested to see how that shakes out. The second highest population with robotics in the household is Asia Pacific region. With 8 to 12% of households having robotics. Then Europe coming in after 5 to 8% of households, and then the rest of the world is less than 3%. So that's interesting, but it doesn't have any projections of how they expect that to change in the near future. Excuse me. But yeah, I think the generationally that will play into what jobs are outsourced to robots. And as boomers phase out, there's going to be more use of that. That's funny that you should mention that your mom didn't like your robot. My mom saw my robot cat litter box and was not impressed. She's like, how much did you spend on this?
It's that generation.
And I was like, not telling. Not as much as you think, but more than you would probably approve of. And that's okay. But yeah, so I guess on the note of humanoid robots, I'm going to make three bold statements, three bold predictions based on kind of my research experience
Okay.
and just general attitude. And then maybe you could close it out with your maybe three predictions. Number one, I'm going to predict that humanoid robots will be in, I'm going to say 25% of US households by the end of 2030. I think it will be about 25%. I'm going to say that humanoid robots are going to enable better manufacturing, and I don't see the job loss that everybody is talking about. I think jobs are just going to be recreated and reborn in other places, and I also still think that there's going to be a lot of companies, mom and pop, small businesses that don't subscribe to that. So I don't think that this world in which nobody's employed and we have to go to universal basic health income is going to arrive like in the next 5 years. I don't see that. I think that the jobs are just going to change. I think workers are going to have to become more skilled. I think those workers that aren't either don't have the aptitude or interest in becoming more skilled are going to have to figure something else out. I don't know what that something else is, but I would caution those folks, anybody doing very manual type efforts, blue collar or white collar, should really take a look in the mirror and do some research on where they could, pivot their career to. And then the third prediction I have is that humanoid robots will not only be your cleaner, your chef, your whatever, but I think they're going to replace virtual assistants in a large way. So doing some of the things that we all have to do, scheduling maintenance for the car, performing maintenance on the house, doing those types of things, booking vacations. I see humanoid robots, especially the ones that are enabled to do so, replacing virtual assistants in a way as well for business professionals and kind of your upper class people who would normally use an assistant anyway, or and your middle class too, who's kind of experimenting or interested in outsourcing some of those activities.
So my top three,
Okay.
my predictions, write them down, etch them in. The first one is it will be an item that we can readily afford. For those that used to buy ATVs and boats and stuff, this would probably be added to the list. I am predicting I'm going to go conservative on this, but by 2050, it turns into more of a commodity that everybody must have on, just like a phone. And it's going to be out there that there's going to be a used market of used robots, and you got your new robots, and you got your leasing programs, and all that other kind of things like that.
That's cool.
And the third one, and kind of I alluded to this earlier, that this opens up that some of the dated factories don't necessarily have to invest these multi-million dollars, and they can be more cost competitive. And we can start looking at from an environmental standpoint of offering local products versus having products shipped all over the world that you've got single sources that can build these products from scratch.
Yeah.
So it can definitely probably reduce the carbon footprint, helps with the transportation, and the overall supply chain. It almost works into more of a circular economics or advanced manufacturing.
That's
Those
cool.
are my three
And
predictions.
I love them, and I'm glad that we brought different ones to the table. What you said at the end made me excited as well. And so I'm going to throw in a bonus prediction that consumer goods cost is going to be driven down or at least stabilized after robotics and these these things become commonplace and, normalized. I really sincerely believe that the cost of consumer goods will be driven down, or at least remain the same while the rest of inflation takes place.
Yeah.
Because of what we just said here. So exciting.
Exciting.
Okay. I'm clocking out.
Just like finished goods.
Yeah,
All right.
we're out of here.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Factory of the Future, and we are out of here like finished goods. Stay tuned for our next episode of Factory of the Future, where we're exploring groundbreaking techniques and behaviors that are reshaping industrial landscapes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and help others discover the cutting-edge insights transforming manufacturing as we know it.